Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Night Live. We got a guest tonight. Matthew Salter from Legion YouTube channel is going to share his vaping journey with us tonight. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. Tim is going to bring us the latest news and advocacy. But before we get into that, I'm going to another shout out for ZampleBox members. Please check your emails. You should have gotten an email last week explaining how things are going to work out for the next few months with your orders. Also, if you have any questions concerning your box, please use the email address hello ZampleBox or go to their Facebook Messenger page, their Facebook company page, and use their messenger, and you can get any questions you have that you're going to need addressed there with those. So let's start by saying hello to my team: Brian Power, Tom Harding, Tim Swift, and our guest, Matthew Salter. Brian, you were late today. I want you to tell everybody why you were late today. I'm putting you on the spot.
Because my mother was in town unexpectedly, and she took me out for supper.
Okay.
And I had shrimp and chicken and onions. And with my daughter.
He gets a pass. You get a pass with moms. You get the pass. All right. I'm not going to argue with there. You can't say no to moms.
So you tried, but it doesn't work very well.
It don't work.
It just never ends well.
Well, you got to remember, you want to be in their will. You got to be good to them. So Oh, Tom, how are you doing tonight?
Could be better, could be worse. All in all, I'm here.
Yeah, you got a little bit of back issues this week. Yeah, yep. You medicated. What are you on? Any good stuff?
Eating bad and to leave.
Oh man, that's old man stuff.
I'm an old man. It happens.
It happens. It's all right. It's all right. You're living. You're gonna make it through the night. I'm sure you are. Hopefully, you don't pass out during the live broadcast.
If I do, just make fun of me. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we'll make fun of. Hopefully, you freeze, and then you freeze with a goofy face, and then we can use that as a screenshot for promote the show.
We have adrenaline. We have adrenaline shots. We have adrenaline shots on hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What's up, Modern Vapor? Phil,
Tiki, Morgan,
in the house. Morgan's in the house.
Phil,
Tim, how are you doing, Timmy?
I plead the fifth. Actually, I'm a little. I can't even talk. I'm that tired. So I ran a trip with the boys in the band this weekend, and I think I accumulated maybe 2.5 hours worth of sleep within the first 36 hours, because we had to leave from Georgia and drive straight to Birmingham, Alabama. The boys played a show in Birmingham that night. And then we were done. We had to load out, get back in the van, and then drive straight on to Pensacola so we could be at load-in at 9 in the effing morning for Sunday for a festival. So luckily they were able to knock their set out early, and then we had the whole day to chill. But it's been a long time since I've been back in that Florida weather, and you quickly forget how stupid potent the sun is in Florida. It's not the temperature. The temperature was fine. We had, that haze kind of cloud cover because Florida's typically got storm clouds rolling through from time to time. And you can't see it in this lighting, but my nose is cherry red, and I'm about that close to a full-on molt. So if you find Tim skin in your in your yard tomorrow, I was just growing out of my old skin.
Hopefully, we don't see no skin falling tonight on the show. They're just coming off your nose and dripping up. Matthew's in Florida, so he knows all about it.
I just moved to Pensacola, funny enough.
Yeah. Did you? You should have come out to the Tribute Fest this past weekend.
I was looking, literally last weekend, I'm looking for any live show, because the last live show I went to was last March. I went and saw Real Big Fish live.
Yeah.
I am dying for some live music.
Yeah, actually, Florida, for the most part, other than maybe some of the bigger venues, because the guys I run with, they play House of Blues and some other bigger establishments, more corporate stuff, but they play Destin all the time. Pensacola just had this 2-day tribute fest.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was wide open. We were there. We played the early set. I say we. I'm part of the band.
You're the roadie. You're the roadie, bro.
You're just an integral part.
I'm the resident Chick-fil-A runner. That's my job. But yeah, so the Tribute Fest was fun. They had 25 food vendors and
Nice.
All beer out the wazoo and bands all day long from starting at 11 in the morning. First night ended at 10. Second night ended at 9, and it turned out to be really good weather right there on that pagoda pavilion thing, right on the friggin' water right there.
Yep.
So it was a wonderful setup. It was nice.
Keep my eyes out for that.
Did you get up on the stage?
Dude, I'm like the little stage rat behind the stage. So like when a drummer goes, I go running. Shit falls over, or somebody needs water, or a microphone goes out, or something. Yeah, I'm like, So I'm kind of on stage. I had to wipe beer off the stage at Iron City in Birmingham, so I look like that one of those kids that runs on the court in a basketball game, to wipe up the sweat really fast. So I don't have an injured singer or guitar player halfway through the trip. Yeah.
Well, let's say hello to Matthew. Matthew, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Taking a little break from work. That's all I do here lately is work.
Yeah, work isn't important.
Yeah. I mean, doing what I do, compliance work for the industry, it's like,
yeah.
If I'm not working, y'all ain't getting Eliquid.
Yeah, keep working then. Don't stop. Keep working. All right, guys. Hey, I want to jump in on something that I want to touch on because I think it's really
John, real quick. For the Facebookers, the people that are joining in on the chat, for the Facebookers that are, I guess we're in the lounge. Yes or no, John?
Yeah, we're on the lounge.
Lounge only.
Lounge only. Yeah.
Okay,
lounge only.
So for the Facebook people that are in the ZampleBox member lounge, please read the description of the video, and there's a link that you can click that gives StreamYard authorization to use your profile name and picture. Otherwise, it just says Facebook user.
Yeah.
We don't know who it is. So I would like to respond to the "What's up, guys?"
Yeah.
But we don't know who you are. So read the description, click the little link. All right, John, carry on.
Yeah, So I wanted to touch on something. I think it's really important because I know the main focus has been on the federal and state side. So I wanted to address a couple of things locally that I think we need to start paying attention to. And that means everybody, no matter what city you live in. I think it's time that you guys really start to focus and pay attention to what's going on locally. Because the sharks are smelling the blood in the water right now, guys. They see what's going on nationally, and a lot of these city councilmen and mayors see an opportunity to go after vaping right now and ban flavors and ban shops from opening and all kinds of sort of stuff. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit today because I noticed our main focus has always been on the federal and state side, and which it should be. It's important, but I want you guys to also to start really paying attention to what's going on around you in your city. So I kind of put a little thing together, and first and foremost, the most important thing is if you have any advocacy groups that are locally in your city, look for them, find them, join them. And that's the most important thing. If you're lucky enough to have an advocacy group that's located in your city, join it. If not, maybe talk to a shop owner, try to work something out, get a Facebook page going, get a Twitter page going, centralize it for your community right there, whatever city you live in, and help get the word out. But it's really important that if you have one already, join it. If not, it's a good chance for you to start talking to a vape shop that you frequent all the time and talk to the owner and see what he thinks and get one started. Number two, stay on top of local legislation, guys. Find out who your city councilmen are. Find out who they are and contact them. Schedule appointments with these guys to sit down and talk with them. Let them know where you stand. If you don't, they're just going to assume everybody in their city doesn't care, and they're going to push these rules and regulations through. You're going to wake up one morning, you're going to find out you don't have any flavors in your city, and that sucks. So stay on top of what's going on in your city. Attend these city council meetings. I know due to COVID right now, some of the cities are doing video ones. Join those video chats. Get your friends involved. Get your family involved in these. The more people that attend these meetings with you and get the word out, the more they're going to pay attention, guys. These guys are in there because we voted them in. I don't know. Is that still like here in Modesto? You get voted in the city council. I think somebody told me some cities that you just kind of go, I'm the city councilman, and you just get put in there like, yeah, I'll take the job. So I don't know how it works in all the cities, but most of them get voted in. So it's really important that you find out who those guys are, show up to these meetings, speak up, get your friends involved. If they're video format like Zoom, join in on those meetings and spread the word, guys. Also, due to the new laws with vape mail and all this other stuff, we're going to be spending a lot of time in vape shops, guys. So this is a great chance to get to know the owner of this vape shop, find out if they're about any advocacy, and ask if there's anything you can do to help. So this is a good chance. You talk to these guys, you see them all the time. You go in there, find out if they have anything going on with vape, with advocacy. Ask them what you can do to help out. It's really important. Number 5, use social media, guys. You can find a lot of your local city pages on Facebook and Twitter, guys. You can find out what's going on. These guys have to post these meetings. This is a great way to find out what's going on. I know my city has a Facebook group page, and I know they have a Twitter page too, and they post what's going up on the board or whatever you want to call it during these meetings. So this is an opportunity for you guys to jump in there and see what's going on. If you see the word vaping, get your ass out there and get your family involved. Anybody that you can get involved to be out there with you. And the last one, guys, and I've talked about this before, and I know not everybody's family supports their vaping habit. I understand that. But I think this is a great way for you to start to be an advocate for vaping. I believe that if you can actually argue this point with family and not lose control and actually have a conversation with someone, you could do it with a stranger. So this is a good chance to learn how to advocate for this community and use your family. Everybody has maybe one or two that are just like, it's just like smoking. This is an opportunity to practice with those people and have an actual adult conversation without losing your temper or getting pissed off. And educate yourself and be prepared to answer questions as an adult, like an adult. So address those comments. CASA has a lot of talking points that you can use for these types of questions. So if you're not a member there, I say get over there, become a member. They have a list of stuff there. I got a link to their page. You can go there, and they got questions that are going to come up all the time by people arguing points for you. So that's my beef. And, it's like I'm going to say this last thing. I know it seems like it's a lot, but this community is worth a few hours a week, this out of our lives, to save it. So just pay attention to what's going on locally, guys, because right now, like I said, the blood's in the water, the sharks are smelling it, and this is an opportunity for a lot of these local cities to start going after flavor bans and vape shops. So pay attention to what's going on locally. All right, that's it for me, man. All right, let's talk to Matthew. Matthew, we're going to start with you. We're going to start with the member spotlight first. So this is an opportunity for you to let everybody know what you're about, what you do, and then we'll ask you a few of our 10 questions that I sent you, and we'll go through that list after you talk about your journey, your vape journey. Go ahead, Matthew. Show's yours, brother.
Thanks, guys. No, a lot of people know me just from Facebook. I'm kind of a loudmouth about advocacy, have been for many years, and I used to just do nothing but constantly live stream hearings from different states. I own a compliance company in the industry called Vape Rescue. Basically, what I do is I do state and federal work for vapor industry clients. I've recently branched into like hemp and cannabis, but mostly vape. That's my passion. Started out with just registering with the FDA. Got into ingredient listings and everything like that, and now it's PMTA work most of the time and PACT work, making sure companies are licensed in the states, make sure they're registered with the ATF, trying to dissect all the laws that come our way and the litigation legislation. That's literally now my full-time day job. That's all I do for about 12 to 18 hours a day. I'm partnered with a firm in the UK called Arcus Compliance. They're the UK's largest compliance firm, and they handle all the big guys. They handle Air Scream, Cosmic Fog, Charlie's Chalk Dust. So I've been blessed to be able to see how the inner workings of the top tier works, and I love working with mom and pops as well. That's kind of my forte. Yeah. I think everybody should have the same access to being able to stay on the market that these bajillion-dollar corporations do. Right. And that's kind of what I pride myself on. I have I always talk about one client. Her name's Betty, and she's in Texas. She's about 70-something years old. Her and her husband own a vape shop, and they have just a small 15-flavor e-liquid line for their house juice, and she's my favorite client in the world. I talk to her 3 times a year, keep her up to date, and it's great. Other than that, yeah, that's basically me. That's all I do. This is literally all I do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's here lately. It's become probably a 12, 24-hour job, right?
Well, it kind of goes in spurts. I mean, for the first, I'd say 2 years I was in business, it was just hit or miss and kind of a side hustle. And I worked for a shop. We grew from 1 shop to 3 shops to 9 shops here, upstate New York. And I mean, that's what I was doing as a side hustle. And then as things kicked off with the PMTA, I kind of was faced with the choice. Do I stay with the shops or do I go into this full time? And I ended up going full time. I've had great success with it. I mean, I've gotten 5 approvals from the FDA, 5 acceptance letters out of 23 so far.
Right.
And it's crazy. I've gotten to see the scientific side of it, working with different labs to have testing done on e-liquid and seeing there's no microbials, there's no metal substances, there's no harmful or potentially harmful constituents. Like, e-liquid's clean. And it blows my mind, like how clean it can be.
Hold on.
They've got to see that. They have to see that. Go ahead, Tom.
They will. They will definitely see. They know this already. They know this already, and they just want to argue and fight with us because we really are disrupting their whole food chain of money.
Yeah.
So you're saying that all those commercials that we see on TV with the metal monster and all that shit are bullshit?
Absolutely bullshit. Absolutely
bullshit. Is real.
I mean, even Saltnik. Now, if anybody knows me, I've been fairly against Saltnik for the last few years. But even Saltnik came back cleaner than a whistle. I mean, non-detectable quantities across the board of anything harmful.
I bet you there's a lot of people groveling at the PMTA level right now. They're probably like, I was so ready to put that declined on there, but now I can't.
They got the FDA
son of a gun, I got to get that
million
approved.
Applications.
Yeah.
And I had spoken to him one time, and the lady said, and mind you, this is all during COVID too, so it's even better. There was 8 people working at the FDA because of COVID, and they had one room where everybody sent their hard copy stuff, their flash drives. A couple people sent CD-ROMs. I know some people who submitted via the 3.5 floppy disk. They said floor to ceiling, nothing but PMTA work. I mean, hard copy paperwork. People were trucking it into the FDA. They got bombarded, and they're still not through all of it. 1.7 million applications.
Yeah.
They're on record as saying we think we'll get about 25.
Yeah. So I have a question then. This spurs an early question.
Okay.
So last week I did a report on an article about 43 House Democrats that are strongly urging the FDA to try to basically pass a flavor ban as well as disrupt and or suspend the PMTA process to either have it fully reviewed again, either just completely stop it in its tracks, or initially cause the PMTAs to have to go through some other rigorous statement processes. So do you see that as any element of threat to the current progress that we're already seeing?
Yes and no. And the answer is not something that most people will ever know. So the FDA is not actually kind of government funded. The FDA is funded by user fees from big tobacco companies for the Master Settlement Agreement. So in that essence, the FDA is held to these standards that even big tobacco created for them helped create. They have to approve or deny things based upon the science. Right now, yes, of course, they have Congress in the ear screaming at them, no, don't do this. And as more and more vapor applications are getting accepted into the first stage, accepted into the second stage, they're getting to scientific review where now the FDA's chemists and scientists are about to dissect everything that we put forth, including the e-liquid. They reserve the right to ask you for samples and do their own chemical analysis testing. They have to approve or deny based upon the science. They can't approve or deny based upon the feelings of Congress.
Right.
And that to what they did last week to me signaled Congress is seeing the writing on the wall that by the science, we're clean. We're good. We are tobacco harm reduction. We are helping people. and that threatens everything they hold near and dear.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so it's like that's kind of like their Hail Mary right now. Yep. They just keep trying to throw things at the wall to hurt us, and it's just not sticking.
Yeah. If I go over there and I see them vaping out in front of that building, I'm gonna assume that they're vaping those samples, those sons of bitches.
Right. Well, they just wanted free e-liquid.
Yeah, they wanted free e-liquid.
So this spurs follow-up question. Okay. So I think that, people like the majority of the panel here, we don't really have a whole lot of insight into that process other than people like yourself that tell us kind of how the process works, as well as inform the people in the chat, which is great because the people watching the show get to learn more about what's going on. You hear about the PMTA. So my question is this. Are you aware of, or does the FDA scientists, do they lay out their syllabus for how they go about testing these e-liquids? Because some people might think, well, they'll just shut the door to the lab and then they'll just shove a bunch of mice in there and then say that it was fucking horrible and we're all going to die.
I mean, the FDA did kill a bunch of mice 2 years ago with nicotine. So
right, exactly, and that's my point, is that they could just come right back out of that same door and go, nope, we found this, we found that, but we don't know what their testing litmuses are other than just producing evidence.
Yeah.
So truth be told, vapor manufacturers really don't know either because they haven't come out with clear-cut guidance. Now, they have released what's called an HPHC list. They're 23 or 25 harmful or potentially harmful constituents, i.e. chemicals, that when, a lot of people think of e-liquid as being 4 ingredients: nicotine, flavoring, VG, and PG. Well, magical things happen when you mix different flavorings with each other. And when they're heated at different wattages using different types of wire and different types of atomizers with different types of metal, byproducts come up out of that. And that's essentially what HPHC testing does. It tests, are there carbonyls in it? Are there any carcinogenic substances in it? What is that kind of molecular explosion look like? And what is
chemical reaction? So
the FDA listed out like 23 or 25 of these, and that's what we have to basically test on. And they didn't give us specific testing methods, but the labs across the world know these testing methods because they're done every single day. Yeah. Phil Basardo actually does some of these same testing methods.
Right, I was just going to say Phil does them. Yeah,
Phil understands, the testing part, and that was kind of nice because that's the industry he came from. Yeah. So, I mean, could they take our samples, go in, test them, and be like, oh, this is bullshit? No, it's all gross and disgusting, and it's going to kill you. They could, but with more and more vapor companies doing their own testing, we're going to be able to refute that. And the even more beautiful part of that is the more companies that do vapor testing with positive results, every manufacturer in the industry basically uses the same flavor houses. They use the same flavoring from the same companies. So there's a part of the process called bridging data where we can borrow from company A and use for company B. So if company A did all that testing and they use the same flavorings as company B, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that company B's flavors are going to be good and safe and clean to vape. So they'd have to try really hard, and it wouldn't necessarily be the FDA that would, throw the mice in the room. It'd be more like Congress because they hate us that much.
Yeah.
That's all interesting to me because I just, I think vapors reserve the right to kind of question the validity of the testing that's going on. I'm not saying that it's snarky and funny business is happening, but that's one of the other things that makes me think a lot about this is that, how do scientists and or labs really know the rigors of what a vapor truly goes through, right? Because they might think that we push the button and hold it for 45 seconds, which we don't. We're probably at 2.5 to 3 seconds max. So again, my point is that when you look at the testing that goes on and you see these sort of strange results come out, like the formaldehydes and all the other weird stuff that they love to talk about, and most of us are aware that a lot of those studies that were done under abstract circumstances. They push those devices to a limit which none of us would ever even engage in. So that's what makes me wonder, I guess they can take a liquid, put it under a microscope, shake it up, transfer it to a million different vials and dissect it and go, well, it's clean. But when you talk about actual contaminants in the body and all this other stuff that's being inhaled, if that is part of the testing process, how do they really know what a vapor actually engages in while they're vaping?
Well, that's a big reason they're actually having us do our own testing, because there's only one approved device on the market for FDA testing
in e-cigarettes,
and that's a C4 cartridge with an Ego Twist battery. Yeah. So the second they push that past, they're trying to put today's e-liquids inside of that tank, and they're like, okay, well, it's got a 10-second cutoff time, so vapors are probably vaping for 10 seconds at a time. And we all know the second you put in like an iClear 40 tank or whatever, and you turn that sucker on at 15 watts, you run it for 10 seconds, you're getting nothing but burnt coil.
Yep.
And, when you burn a coil, formaldehyde is produced. When you burn anything, formaldehyde is produced. You burn popcorn in your microwave, guess what? There's formaldehyde.
It stinks. That's what we're kind of worried about. I mean, with them just going, okay, let's turn this mod goes to 200 watts. So let's assume that's where we're going to start our bases and crank this up to 200 watts, put in a coil that only goes up to 50 watts and fire it up with, 70 VG juice and everything that you could possibly do wrong, they do wrong. But
so they kind of left how we did that part up to us.
Good.
So in my company in particular, we did it the smart way. We showed base level, like 1 watt, what it would do. And we chose a pretty standard device on the market. I can't name it, but and then we chose max wattage, what would happen. Watch that sucker sear into oblivion. And then we actually talked about manufacturers' advised preset wattage. When you buy a package of coils, it always tells you this 0.4 ohm coil is best rated 60 to 65 watts. So we took the device and we set it there, and we did the testing at that parameter too to show them when ran by the manufacturer specified wattage, this is the testing you come out with, and it's clean, it's good. Obviously, no vapor is going to vape something at 200 watts,
right?
When it's not rated for 200 watts,
right.
Right.
So we got the chance to actually kind of paint that picture for the FDA, and I constantly say they're 2 generations behind us in vaping, because they think now that they're up to the Sigali 150 days.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking at as our super device, and we're like, I got a 400 watt LiPo right here.
Yeah.
There's a couple good questions in the group there.
Yeah, we got one from Canadian Vapor 09. God, my I got to turn up my. I'm getting
Get that
old.
man some Foster Grants.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn up the font size on my computer here. The worst thing about e-liquid, and is there some?
What is the worst thing about e-liquid, and is there some flavors worse than others?
And I'm gonna mute Tim because he interrupted me talking, but that's okay. Go ahead, Matthew.
The worst thing about e-liquid, I mean, realistically, there isn't any worse thing about e-liquid. Some of the flavors that have more sucralose in them, we call them sugar juices, those do have a tendency to kind of burn faster and may create more carcinogenic substances. 9 times out of 10, they're still under non-detectable quantities, right? Flavorings, yes, there are some flavorings that are worse than others. Any vanilla typically will create a little bit more harmful chemicals or byproducts, and cinnamons. I mean, that's the reason why there's not a lot of cinnamon flavors on there. Not only are they tank crackers, and not only are they super harsh on the throat, but they're just really hard to work with in terms of e-liquid. I mean, I've had some great cinnamon Danish vapes, but and that's the thing. It's like back with the diacetyl scare. Diacetyl's not going to kill anybody. Diacetyl's never killed anybody. Realistically, I liked e-juice better when I had diacetyl in it because it gave that pizzazz. But we as an industry kind of abided by what they wanted and took diacetyl out. And I mean, that's why you don't see a lot of manufacturers using a lot of vanillas, or if they do use vanillas, it's extremely small quantity and they mix it with tons of other flavors, and it's just used to kind of pop it out a bit. But no, there's not a whole lot that'll actually harm you with vaping, period.
We got a question from Vapor Al there. Let me get this here. Are flavors going to be regulated within the cannabis industry? Will you see those strands with candy names and children's seduction flavors be under attack?
They're not going to attack flavored cannabis. I mean, look at what just happened with New York State today. New York State, I leave less than a month later. New York State has legalized marijuana. Flavors are going to play an integral role, and obviously we vape because A, we love nicotine, B, we love flavor. So realistically speaking, when they flavor cannabis, it's just going to help their bottom line. It's going to help the state tax revenue go up. They're not going to attack that because it is very tightly regulated. I mean, think about the vape shop model versus the dispensary model. Dispensary model, you typically have to have a license to walk through the door unless you're in a legal state, 21 and over. There's cameras everywhere. There's usually armed security everywhere. Vape shop, anybody can walk into a vape shop for the most part. So think about it like that. Will we see those strains with candy names and child seducing flavors being attacked? We've seen it. I mean, look at what happened in Georgia last weekend. So a bunch of CBD shops got raided by, I don't think it was the ATF. I think it was the DEA and the sheriff's department. And what they found was a bunch of cannabis companies, like really shady cannabis companies, probably the same ones behind a valley, were marking products as D8 versus D9. And that's a whole different topic of discussion, D8 versus D9, but we see D8 exploding on the market. And they were in like candy packages that looked like Fruity Pebbles and had a picture of Bam Bam on the front. Same thing we dealt with 4 years ago in the vaping industry. Realistically, yeah, they're going to attack them a little bit. It's not going to be crazy. I think the industry themselves are going to weed it out. Cannabis, I always say, is 10 times more professional than the vape industry because they've had to fight way longer and way harder to get where they're at now. And they're not about to let some idiot with $1 million try and just throw some candy flavored packaging out there and ruin the whole industry for everyone.
Yeah, that would. I mean, I guess one thing that I would, and I'm not trying to play whataboutism here, not at all. I mean, that's a worthless fight anyway. But we're an easy target because they're going to look at bottles of juice and stuff, and they're going to be like, oh well, sour apple with some kind of creative, fun labeling on it. But then you take the op to that, and you say, okay, well, look at all the edibles that are coming out and flooding the market in the cannabis industry, even in the CBD industry. I don't know. I don't engage in CBD, but you look at like gummies and Rice Krispie treats and brownies and cookies and all that other stuff, and you think, there's a bunch of hypocrisy going on here, because if you're going to say, well, the kids are flocking to the e-liquids because of some fancy flavor that might be in somewhat of an attractive bottle, what's more attractive than a bag full of gummy bears that will get you high for the next 5 hours? And it just makes me think about that kind of stuff. Like, what made that so different than what we face?
Biggest difference, to be complete 100% honest with you, money. It's the same thing with the alcohol argument, where they have cartoons on beer or cartoon wine and flavored wines and flavored beer and flavored liquor and all this stuff. The alcohol industry and the cannabis industry have billions upon billions of dollars more in lobbying power than the vape industry does. And realistically speaking, it takes us 10 to 30 years to get that amount of money to have the same level of lobbying power. And I mean, find me a politician who doesn't drink cognac or doesn't drink some flavored vodka. Find me a politician who probably doesn't smoke a spliff at the end of the day. It's just same thing with cigars. We see cigars get free passes all the time in states or cities, because guess what they're doing at the golf club after session? They're lighting a stove. It's just one of those things. They're going to regulate what they hate and deregulate what they love personally. And that's why it's actually really important to tie into what you said about local advocacy. You want to try and fight for your rights for these things, because they will do whatever they want to do unless you're there to stand in their way. So if they hate flavored vaping but they love cigars are getting an exemption because you didn't open your mouth.
Yeah, it's happening. I think people really better pay attention to what's going on locally, because I think they're going to be surprised one morning waking up and seeing vape shops get rezoned, maybe, because that's what they like to do. They like to rezone things in cities. So, and it's just like, well, guess what? You're not in the zone that we allocated for tobacco use. So you're going to have to either move. And some of these places, these guys are barely surviving right now as it is, to actually pack up and move somewhere else. That guy might just say, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah, it's like in New York City, you know, they had created a licensing system that only granted 500 licenses for the city. And then they came out with a law that said you can't operate a vapor establishment 500 feet of a school, which, I mean, in New York City, there's schools on every street corner. Yeah. And then on top of that, they said, oh, if you move your location, your license doesn't transfer with you. Oh, and by the way, once you vacate a license, it's now gone, and we're down to 499 licenses.
Yep. Yeah,
they literally stacked the odds.
That was sneaky shit on their part.
Oh, it was so bad. Elliot was just going berserk. He's like, how could they do this? And I'm just like, you're watching it real time, baby. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, there's literally a preschool on every block in New York City. Dude.
Private schools, charter schools, boarding schools, you name it. New York City is like half schools, half gun store.
A gun store.
But you can't buy a gun there. But there's gun stores.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And that's why I was just sitting there and I was thinking to myself, God, we're focusing on everything else, which is we should be focused on the federal level and the state level. But I think a lot of these city councilmen right now, they got an opportunity to just jump in the water right now and attack this industry and get rid of them, you know, and I hope people are paying attention, because I think that's like one of the last things that we really focus on is the city level. And like we were talking about earlier, that's the one that affects us the fucking most. This is what happens in our city, dude. That's
your health departments and your city council people. They'll pass anything they want to in the middle of the night with little to no recourse, and they don't have to consult the state on it.
Nope.
And they don't have to, you know, there's a ton of localities with vapor specific taxes or vapor specific flavor bans. California, I think, has 13 city specific flavor bans. Half of LA is flavor ban, half of LA isn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the industrialized zone isn't, but the commercial or the residential zone is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Oakland and San Francisco the same way. Oakland and San Francisco is just horrible. You don't know. I was almost the first time I was almost afraid to vape on the street in San Francisco, because I was like, am I going to get a ticket here? Well, what's going on here? Because no one really knew the regulation yet. And then, you know, and they're like, no, you just can't buy it. There's no shops anymore.
Right, and they don't care that you can literally go 5 minutes down the street to the next city where it isn't banned and buy it.
Yeah, you can go into.
You know, they're just pandering to the moms across America.
Yeah. Anybody on the panel, Brian? You got a question for Matthew? Been quiet, Brian. I don't like that.
I'm just watching the chats here and kind of thinking around a few things here, but no, kind of like my question to you is mainly with dealing with the different science and stuff with the liquids and like how things actually happen with the chemical reactions and the testing and stuff. Now take that side and take with the COVID stuff, how everyone's been saying we need to follow the science. Before they weren't. Now, do you think people are going to change their stance on that now? Because they've been preaching that for so long, and now we present the science, and now do you think they'll actually follow it now?
Well, I mean, that's the funny part, because the government's been saying, oh, well, you know, vaping can exacerbate COVID, or vaping can make you more susceptible to COVID. And then we got a lot of scientific papers coming out of different, you know, prestigious medical study groups that are saying, oh, nicotine actually blocks COVID receptors. You know, nicotine's a good thing. People who smoke cigarettes are less likely to get COVID. Therefore, if they vape, they're even more less likely to get COVID. You know, so there's definitely a war, and it's within the same people. More than likely, I mean, do you guys notice how quiet it is in the media about vaping now? E-Valley died down. Corona became the new thing to talk about. It doesn't fit their narrative anymore, you know. So they've got the big new scary monster. I think some people are going to listen to the science now. Probably not the right people are going to listen to the science now. But we just have to beat them and be better than them.
Yeah, they're kind of. It looks like they're kind of focusing on social media. I've been getting a lot. I don't know if you guys get it. I'm getting a lot of vaping stuff on my Facebook feed side now here lately. I love commenting on them too, because the numbers are always way off on their posts, you know. But yeah, it looks like they've been kind of focusing on Facebook, and I don't know if that's just because I use the word vaping a lot. You know, I don't know how their algorithm works.
Well, I guess the thing that I still see going on, Matthew's right. I don't see a whole lot of conversation in the media about vaping nearly as much anymore. But every now and again, you'll have a story on one of the main media stations that, like, and I think the most recent ones were the conversations about being susceptible to COVID. However, what I do see a lot of the lead politicians or figureheads in the government loved, and you see this on Twitter all the freaking time. So if you like to give people an ass chewing, get on Twitter and start following all these yucca pucks who like to, like. I mean, yes, there's the paves and the campaign for tobacco-free kids. Like, they're all a bunch of propagandist, idiots that like to push a bunch of false narratives. But you get some of these really high up, people, like Surgeon General and stuff like that, and they still to this day love to use the weapon of conflating the Valley cases with standard nicotine vaping, and it drives me up a wall because they're preaching to the impressionable group that also follows them on Twitter. Now, granted, it's nice to see everybody in the ballpark, though. What I'm saying is that when these people say these idiotic things, like 100 vapors all rush to that tweet and like basically just chew them a new asshole for lying the whole freaking time. And I do it too, because I think that they need to be put in their place, and we call them out for what they are. Yeah. But it's like, that's the thing that I still see going on, is the absolute conflation of the Valley cases from a year or so ago and the nicotine vaping. When any simple math would tell the average person on this planet that vaping didn't all of a sudden become massively dangerous in about a 6-month time frame. Vaping has existed for years prior to that, and there was never a case of anything that went wrong. And then some weird stuff happens. It all happens in a very short time frame and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very consolidated time frame. And it's like, something funny is going on. Hey, John, I think there was a good question from Canadian Vapor up a little bit higher.
Yeah, I had it up there, but it was just talking about...
he was wondering if there was going to be some kind of a lobbying group put together. It's above Vapor Out. Yes, there you go. Maybe Matthew knows about that.
I mean, we've had different lobbying teams for different federal trade orgs for quite a while now. I mean, we haven't seen VTA in months, but again, a whole different topic for a whole different show.
Yeah.
I won't get into my feelings on that one, but SFATA is still kicking strong. And I mean, SFATA's got a great lobbying team. They have great people at the helm, and they're actively engaging with the FDA. They're meeting with Mitch Zeller and the CTP, the Center for Tobacco Products, who kind of govern us with the FDA. They're like the enforcement arm of the FDA. And they're actively meeting with them. They're actively trying to bring them up to speed with us and actively trying to find us a pathway through the muck and everything. And another new great organization, AVM, the American Vapor Manufacturers, led by Amanda Wheeler, Char Owen.
We've had them on. Yeah.
Oh, those ladies are absolutely fantastic. I mean, they literally are grassrooting an entire testing facility for vapor manufacturers to get testing at damn near cost. And I mean, granted, even at cost, it's still kind of pricey because you're hiring chemists with years of experience and schooling, and you got to buy the proper machine equipment and whatnot. And that stuff is not cheap whatsoever. But they're even lobbying. I watched Amanda for 6 months fly back and forth to DC to meet with the FDA or get secret meetings with politicians, and show up. She showed up at a random dinner party and ends up bumping elbows with like Trump Jr. And there are people in the background that aren't they're vocal on Facebook, but they're not, that are lobbying. And then we do have lobbying teams in DC still. It's not as what it used to be, unfortunately, a year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But federally, we don't have a lot to worry about. I know like right now with the PACT Act and everything, everybody's kind of freaking out, Chicken Little, sky's falling. Yeah. But realistically speaking, nothing's going to happen with the federal government for another year to 2 years. I mean, the FDA is doing the PMTA thing. It's going to take them longer than what they've already given us to go through them all. States are kind of where we're getting bombarded, and people have like you said, taking their focus away from, things like the states and the local levels. And that's kind of where everybody's just getting blasted.
Yeah. Tom, you got a question for Matthew? You shake your head no. You're all drugged up. Is the medicine kicked in? Has the medicine kicked in for your back? There you go. Happy Tom.
I am feeling no pain.
Ah, there you go.
That's positive.
Actually, I had a question.
Go ahead, Brian.
When you moved from, because you were up northeast before, right?
Yeah, I was upstate New York, literally like 15 minutes from the Canadian border, so I was southern Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when
Buffalo?
you moved to Florida now, did you find, like, when you went to a different state, trying to help with different vape advocates down there, did you find that more difficult, or was it a bit easier?
I am very blessed that I moved to Florida because Florida has the winning team. And by
Yeah,
that,
they
I
do.
mean, they literally got their governor to come out publicly in front of the media live and say, I'm not going to ban flavors because these products are helping people quit smoking.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sentence people to death by telling them they need to smoke. So I kind of already came into a winning team. And now I'm just I'm helping them more or less with like the science aspect of everything, what my forte is. Now, granted, I've gotten up time and time again in front of different, city council people, different state panels, and spoken my piece on different legislative bills. But I'm much more suited for arming the guns than I am actually being the gun, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be funny to see when everything opens up again and everyone gets to meet up again, and how things are going to just get back to normal as far as having that opportunity to have FaceTime with some of these people. Because I know right now you're not getting that FaceTime, and I think that's kind of hurting us. Well, especially with the USPS, we really couldn't do anything there. We couldn't really do anything other than sign that petition to the police stop it. Now, I still don't get the totals from that. I don't know how many people that actually filled that thing out.
I heard earlier on the public comment period that USPS was forced to do, they had a 30-day public comment period. They had a record-setting amount of comments with over 16,000 comments. Now, granted, the vapor industry is vastly larger than that.
Yeah.
They should have had millions upon millions of comments.
Millions.
But I will happily take 16,000 comments any day of the week. And I really hope it's going to force them to go back to Congress and be like, hey, guys,
God, that sucks.
we really should do this.
That sucks. I mean, that's still a good fucking number. Don't get me wrong. That's still a good number, but 16,000? Really, guys?
Yeah, but you know what? In my honest impression, I think that's probably pretty commendable, considering that we can't even get like 2,500 people to sign a petition.
Is Nick Orlando in the house?
Yeah, he jumped in because I was talking so good about him and the winning team.
Don't say anything positive. Don't say too much positive. It'll go to his head. It'll go to Nick's head.
I love it. Nick's a gem in this industry. He's a great guy, and he really has it dialed in with the state government down here. Like, I walked in and it's just like, no, everything's good. Wait till next session. We'll talk. Okay.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say in general to the fact that there was a bit more of a rousing response to the USPS ban, I think because it really hit home, it was starting to make people kind of wake up and go, oh, snap, my whole world is going to be completely disrupted right now because I'm just so used to getting on my favorite vape website and ordering what I need. Now, granted, we are aware that some companies have secured some form of shipping at this point. I hope that it works out. Double quote, put that in quotes because, it's still very early on right now. We don't know what the ramifications or success or failure will be with this particular company or whoever they are, the series of companies that apparently are creating I kind of envision that the back of that cargo trailer and you got like 30 dudes all in a row and like everybody's just handing somebody else the bag, so it's like a chain gang like unloading a trailer or something.
You're not actually that far off.
Yeah,
you're not.
I imagine that's a little bit about what it's all about, but I would say had we seen this type of response consistently throughout some of the advocacy periods, the calls to action. The rallies are awesome, and you would want as many people to show up to those. I think those provided a little bit more of a challenge at times, just because it required people to travel, and maybe that wasn't as amenable to some. But overall, if we had seen these types of numbers kind of jump in the pool and like comment, be available for public commentary periods, I'm not saying that things would be vastly different right now, but they would see the resistance that's out there, as opposed to like just a couple hundred people showing up and, you know, getting there 30 seconds a time and stuff like that. So,
well, I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to say any names, but do you think it has a lot to do with certain people telling other people that those petitions are garbage and don't fill them out and don't focus on them? And with this one, this was a big one. We should have had bigger numbers. I mean, I don't even know I saw it the other day. It kind of blew me away, but it was a statistic that showed how many people actually have a cell phone in the United States. I forget what the number was, but it was ridiculously high. So, I'm thinking, why, it takes a few minutes to do this. I get it. And, everybody has a cell phone. Just fill it out, send it. We should have had that as numbers. Do I think we should have had millions? No, but I mean, it would have been nice to see like 250,000, 100,000, but 16,000.
Yeah, I mean, we as an industry have always had this terrible problem of cannibalizing ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, if the government's not shooting us in one foot, it's ourselves shooting ourselves in the other foot.
Yeah.
I mean, you get those people on Facebook. Social media is especially toxic for vape advocacy, even though that's our one outlet we have. They'll tell you, don't fill out the petition. It goes nowhere. It does nothing. Guess what? It does go somewhere. It does do something. And if we get those numbers high enough, there's no telling who's going to see that, especially on Facebook, Twitter, wherever your social media platforms are, Instagram. I mean, think about the amount of celebrities who vape.
Yeah.
Now, whether any of them have ever signed a vape petition, I don't know. I don't know if Shaq's ever signed a vape petition, but imagine if we got 150 signatures on one, or we get it trending on Twitter. Next thing you know, Shaq's seeing it, Dave Navarro's seeing it. All these actors and actresses who vape, who actually do have a very large voice, they could jump into the fray. I mean, all it takes is one tiny little catalyst to start a huge chain reaction.
Dave Chappelle vapes on stage during his show. He didn't even care.
Right.
And Sean Hannity got caught.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not forget Sean Hannity.
I was so happy to watch Sean Hannity rip a Juul live. I hate Joel the Passion, but man, that made me feel so good.
The new tagline is vaping safer than smoking? Technically, yes, but
yeah.
That's what he said when he acted out.
I mean, there are YouTube reviewers with higher numbers and followers than we get in some of these petitions, which is friggin' mind-boggling. Rip's the king of kings. He's got whatever he has following him, but we have some other pages that are up into 350,000. I think that's like the plateau. I think it's 350 is about the max, and then it's Rips and whatever his is. But most
Super
of them,
bloke.
but most of them are right at 250, 350,000 followers, and it's just like, just give me 10% of that. That's it. Just go ahead, Tom.
Morgan has a question for Matthew.
Oh, okay.
Great question.
Do you often have to deal with friends, relatives who oppose you vaping? And if so, how do you handle it?
Absolutely. My mother, actually, when I first made the switch, she hated that I smoked. My father smoked my whole life. And my parents never really, I didn't have structure. I didn't have rules. I was free to do as I pleased. So they weren't surprised when I started smoking. Well, when I had children, I still smoked. And in my prime of 22, 23 years old, I was up to 3 packs a day. I mean, literally just chain smoking. I've always had jobs where I could just go outside and smoke whenever I felt like it. And, I ended up with pneumonia. I couldn't smoke, and told my wife, go to the store, give me one of those stupid shitty e-cig things. I'll give it a shot for now because I need some nicotine. And it just within 2 weeks, I had completely converted from smoking to vaping. I was full bore head first in. And the first thing my mother says to me is just, you're trading one addiction for another. I don't see the point in you doing this. Or she'd find out how much I spent on a new mod or a new tank or some juices. She'd be like, that's more expensive than a pack of cigarettes. Like at first, it was almost like she was telling me it's cheaper to smoke. Why don't you smoke? And over the course of time, when I explained things to her and I showed her the science, I sat her down on a consistent basis and like, hey, Mom, check out this vape study that just came out. Or, I'm feeling a lot better. 1 second, my daughter's saying goodnight.
Good night.
Mom, I'm feeling a lot better. I went and got my lungs checked out at the doctors and my lungs are starting to clear out. I've gotten all the tar out of there. I've had asthma since I was a child. And now I no longer have asthma. I don't use a nebulizer anymore. I don't use an inhaler anymore. There's no issues with that. And just she saw over the course of time my health improve. And she saw kind of, with me getting into the industry and everything that is kind of brought to my life and me being able to help other people. I mean, I'm still working on my top convert, which is my dad. He's still a diehard smoker. And I have tried almost every device under the sun to get him to switch. And he's so hard-headed. But yeah, I mean, my own mother, I had to convince that vaping was good for me, or at least less worse than cigarettes.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is just education, just talking to them. It's showing them how good you're feeling about it. Explaining to them, look, I'm going to be here longer to help take care of you. I'm going to be here longer for my children. I get to help people every single day kick a very nasty habit that will kill them, no matter what.
And where would you say your mom was getting her information? Is she a Facebook user? Was she getting?
She's a Facebook user. She kind of watches the news. She's got a lot of older friends who just kind of, that vaping stuff, that'll just give you cancer. And the popcorn lung was huge.
Popcorn lung.
I remember the day my mother Facebook messaged me, have you seen this thing called popcorn lung? And I was already ready. I already knew the 2 cases in the world about popcorn lung. And I just put it all out on the table. I laid it out there and I said, Mom, only 2 people in the world have ever gotten it. One person worked in a popcorn factory for 30 years. The other person ate popcorn twice a day for like 20 years. Like, this is a super rare condition that just doesn't really exist. Like, it takes a lot of diacetyl in your system to be able to get this.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay. Like, you just arm yourself with knowledge. Knowledge is, there's an old 70s infomercial that said knowledge is power. Like, that's the truth. As long as you have the information at your fingertips and you share it with the world, nothing's going to get in your way.
Yeah. That's why I think it's really important that people go and read these articles. Don't just read the headline. Go and read the articles. Understand what you're reading, and then you share that information and have, it's kind of hard to have a link ready if you're talking to somebody on the street, but hey, shoot me an email. I'll send you the information that you need. I'll show you where you need to go. But yeah, Megan, Morgan, you can use CASA. Go to CASA's page. They have a great list of topics that you can use to talk back and help other people understand what's going on. So they got a great, Brian, can you pull that link to where their comment thing is? I think where they can actually look up.
Which link was that again?
It's on CASA's page. It's like a list of topics to use for discussion when people approach you.
Another great site for information is thr101.org.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lindsay has pumped so much into that site.
Yeah.
Yup. Mm-hmm. And yes, I believe Salter is wearing a sweater.
I am. So it's currently, let's see, right now it was 82 today. It's like 60, no, it's 72 degrees outside right now, right? I keep my house at a wonderful 68 to 70 degrees. I hate the sun, and the sun hates me. So this is like my summer right now, but when I'm inside, I've been sitting outside all day. I usually have a sweater on. I call it my desk sweater, because I wear it when I'm at my desk working, and I'm constantly taking phone calls. And come on, this looks pretty professional, minus the hat. So
it's that business casual look.
Exactly. I can jump in a meeting with a bunch of corporate executives, and they don't think nothing of the matter.
I was going to echo what everybody else said here, is that I've had this conversation with my parents because they were on me pretty heavy about being a smoker, and I've been a smoker since I was a teenager. I don't remember how many years of that I actually got away with it without them not knowing. But they were aware of it at some point. And, I had, told them that I got into vaping. And then, of course, they were becoming privy to some of the stuff that was coming out in the media and things like that. So the best weapon that you can arm yourself with for any of these conversations is a cool, level head Don't get fired up and angry, because that is not going to facilitate your conversation. But bring facts to the table and just calmly explain how the things that they see, read, and hear are typically not coming from well-rounded sources, that there are far better sources that you can use to make your case.
This is actually a PDF off of Kazaa's website, and
Yeah.
it challenges everything on. Let me zoom in here a bit.
Oh, good. So you can actually download it and have it on your phone.
Yep, and it's got everything on here about. This is actually the. It's under Kazaa.
Just post
Education.
that link to the actual link.
And then it's counterfactual. It's right here. It's a big PDF that you can download. And I'll actually put this in the website here. I'll actually put this whole link up there. But it's got everything from the nicotine to heavy metals to lung gateways. Everything in here. And you can read everything yourself. It's a very good, handy little thing to have with you. And it's actually quotes everything too. So.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I didn't know they had the PDF. That's pretty good, because that helps if you can download it to your phone and have it available when you're walking around.
And you can print it at Staples for like $2. And when you go to meet with your local politicians, your city councilman, you bring a copy of that, and bam, you're in.
You're in.
Or another good way is to bring the PDF to your local vape shop and print it in front of them too.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure every vape shop has a printer.
They better.
Pretty sure. Not
Pretty sure.
How sure are you?
I'm like 99.9% positive.
All right, we'll give you that one. We'll give you that one. I'll let you have that
Except for that one vape shop that still uses pin feed.
Yeah,
Or the guy at the vape shop that still sends the kid to the local 7-Eleven to use their printer.
Yeah.
Go run to the convenience store and print this.
Yep. There's a FedEx Kinko's just down the road.
FedEx Kinko's, yeah. I need
I
quarters.
always joked about sending a
quarters.
PTA by a dot matrix printer.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I remember those damn things.
Oh yeah, I used to use them all the time in my old day job
Oh, yeah.
life.
Back in the
Love
old
those things.
AS400 days.
They didn't break for nothing, and if they did, you just smacked it, and it worked.
Exactly.
It just
We
can't
used
work.
what we called the BFH. That was called the big fucking hammer. That's what.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
All right. Well, we're gonna go through our. You actually already answered a few of these questions with you being a smoker, not a chewer. How long did you smoke, Matthew, before you went into vaping?
I started smoking. I mean, I tried smoking around the age of 9, 10. I didn't become like a daily smoker until about the age of 12. And then I quit. Let's see. I'm 33 now. I've been vaping for about 6 years. So I didn't really stop smoking until I was 25, 26 years old.
Wow.
I mean, that was the last 3-4 years was 3 packs a day, every day.
You got the 3 packs too, huh?
Yeah. Well, I used to run rental car businesses for a living. And I had a client who, in a very legally fashion, would go to the reservation in New York and pick up just hundreds upon hundreds of cartons of cigarettes and transport them in a very legal fashion to some clients up north. And on the way, he would rent the car for me to do this with in a legal fashion. And I would get 5 cartons legally a week. Yeah. So I just had an endless supply of cigarettes. And
nice.
I mean, you know the rule, the more you have, the more you smoke.
The more you smoke.
It's just like Eliquid. The more you have, the more you vape.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, 3 packs a day, menthol.
Do you remember your first setup, Matthew? Your first?
Absolutely. It was a house vapor pen that I bought at the local head shop. Or actually, even before that was a Mark 10 from the local gas station. I used that thing for 3-4 days while I had pneumonia. And I mean, that thing sucked, but it got me through. And then I moved on to the Haas vapor pen from the head shop. And they had these just terrible 38 milligram e-liquids that was just grape or cherry. And it was super harsh. And I thought it was the bee's knees. I thought it was great. And then eventually an MVP with the Nautilus tank on top or the iClear tank on top. Man, I thought I was badass. Yeah. I still have the original Instagram photos of them. Where I was just like, yeah, vape life, hashtag, all this. And then Segali 150, obviously, and so on and so forth. And now I probably have close to 200 devices. Like,
yeah,
I use like 10 on it every day. It's ridiculous.
that MVP, that was a brick house, man. You could
You could charge your cell phone. You could vape from it. The one I had a flashlight on it. Like, so many cool features.
You could use it as a weapon. You could break a window with it.
It was literally the Nokia of vaping devices.
It was the Nokia of vaping.
Like, I think I used it as a hammer once.
There's also a brass knuckles vape that was out there too.
Yeah, that one got banned. Didn't it get? You couldn't buy.
Yeah.
You can't buy that in New York, right? You can't buy.
No.
Yeah, you can't buy numpty or whatever those things.
I can get a shotgun in less than 30 seconds, but I can't own brass knuckles. Makes no sense. But hey, that's New York.
Yeah. Oh man. Do you remember the first e-liquid that helped you beat the cravings?
The first e-liquid that really helped me beat the cravings was Mexsauce's Gorilla Snot. And Mexsauce is still around. They're still around. They're actually a client of mine now, and I absolutely love that. I told them the day we first talked, I go, your liquid helped me quit smoking permanently. And it was just like this banana custard flavor that just, any banana vape usually just packs flavor. I mean, it's just a flavor bomb. And that I used to buy it, man. They used to have those like buy one, get two free sales, and I just load up.
When that took off, we joke about it on the ZampleBox page, but when that company took off, I mean, they kind of really set the tone. For price margin. I mean, all of a sudden you were able to get a 120 ml bottle for $19.99, and everybody was just like, "You can't do that. You can't."
It was them, Plume Juice, and Nitro vapes.
Yeah, it was a night. Yeah, I remember Nitro, but yeah, I mean, when they came out, man, everybody was just like, and the list was just like 3 pages long. I mean, it was just so many flavors to choose from. I really, when they first took off, the juice was really good at the beginning, but then I think they got too big too fast, and you were getting stuff that you needed to steep, and because their Captain Crunch was just, that thing was just really good. And their Fruit Loops was really good.
I constantly talk about that because the Captain Crunch and the Fruit Loop back in the day tasted like almost like sour cardboard. But now when I have a cereal vape, if I don't get that sour cardboard taste, I don't want it. Like, I've literally been chasing. I found one company that comes close. That's Cloud Chemist. But if I don't have that where it tastes like I like freshly made corrugated cardboard, I don't want
it. You want it to taste like it was still in the box.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's so weird to think about that, but it's just like, I don't know. I love cereal vapes. They're one of my all-time favorite flavor profiles.
Yeah. And the raspberry punch sweet.
I think mine was the fruity rebels that Twisted had. With distortion and all that line. I don't know if you remember that one. But that's the cereal vape that got me off of everything. Really helped.
Nice.
You answered, does your family support your vaping? Now they do. I'm assuming everyone in your family, yes.
Everybody loves vaping. I mean, I've gotten a lot of their friends off smoking. Whenever one of their friends has questions about vaping, or my favorite nowadays is, my friend so-and-so's teenage son came home and they found a vape in the backpack. Can you have a talk with the teenage son? I'm like, absolutely. Let's do it. You know, that's my favorite thing, is educating the youth about vaping. And I was actually, about a year, I was working on a high school program where I was going to go to my local high school and do like a little auditorium thing with the kids. But they found it, I didn't demonize it enough because I was going to tell the truth. Like, This isn't for you. This is for your mom and dad to live longer. You know, this is for your grandparents to be around when you graduate.
Yeah.
But
I'm thinking you belong to a couple vape group advocacy groups. I'm sure you do.
I'm just the treasurer of the United Vapors Alliance. You know, we did the rally in DC. I belong to CASA. I belong to SAFADA. I belong to AVM. I belong to USVA. They're currently the only litigation that's going in front of the Supreme Court. Actually, just their lawsuit hit the Supreme Court docket today with Greg Troutman writing the amicus brief. I was a member of NYSVA. I'm a member of FSFA. You name it, I'm involved somehow. The Texas Smoke Free, Texas SAFADA. Yeah, I mean, you name it, I'm involved with them. They all come to me with questions. I help them out as much as I can.
Well, it helps because of what you do to know what regulations are involved in certain areas. So being part of these other groups that are nationwide through Texas, New York, and wherever they be, it kind of helps you with your job, I'm sure. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's part of my job is understanding like when a local law group comes out or local Congress comes out with some new legislation. If you just look at it and it's like this is jumboed, like this is Spanish to me, I don't understand it. I just naturally have a knack for understanding law and legalese. It's my favorite question from clients is like, "Oh, so are you a lawyer?" No,
No.
I never went to college. Like I've been blessed to have the brain that works for this sort of stuff.
Somebody promoting you? Nick's promoting you.
Look at that. Look at him pumping that up.
Hey, Nick, does he need to get the bumper stickers made for this or what?
I'm going to have to start wearing Hawaiian shirts if I become VP.
Yeah, I was going to
True
say.
Florida man.
Yeah, you're going to have to wear one of them button-down collared shirts.
Yeah,
no tie anymore, but you still got to have the button-down collared shirt.
Yeah, you're going to have to get some old school Dockers and some old school New Balance and some white pull-up socks. So, yeah.
See, when I dress up, though, I look more like Tony Soprano.
Oh, there you go.
The hamburger meat all hanging out, the pleated khakis. And
just one too many buttons undone.
Gold chain hanging out,
Do you ever plan on quitting vaping?
God, no.
God, no. Just God, no.
Realistically speaking, I love nicotine far too much to ever give that up. I couldn't imagine a life without nicotine. I couldn't imagine a life without vaping now. I mean, I'll never go back to smoking. I'll die before I go back to smoking. I will murder before I go back to smoking. This is what I do. It's in my hand all the time. It never leaves it. It never goes very far away. If it does, I don't bring it in the shower. But I do wake up in the middle of the night to vape. I know that's terrible to say, but it's the truth. Yeah. I was a diehard smoker. I loved smoking. Now I love vaping. And this thing right here, this technology has saved my life. It's saved numerous lives, and it's given me a life I could have never dreamed of. And I've met some really wonderful people from it. So
I don't know, Amber, if he wants to go for that 75-year-old grandpa look.
Yes, absolutely. And I even got the walk down. I'll bring a cane and everything.
Yeah. Well, it's like I don't think I've ever seen a video with Phil Pissardo in pants. I think he's always in shorts in every single video.
That's what happens the second you move to Florida full time. It's like my wife's like, "You haven't worn jeans at all or khakis," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's way too hot to do that. It's gym shorts all the time."
Hey, Keith in the comments, real quick, just tell us what your preferred flavor profile is, because you just opened it up to a friggin'
I was
bukkake of vape flavors we could throw at you. So.
Yeah,
anything strawberry.
Yeah, all of us has used the Quest. Most of us.
Yeah, we all have it. So
so I mean, you can use a whole different.
Do you like fruits? Do you like desserts? Like, what you looking for, buddy?
Nick's goal is retiring and doing the sports show with me and Brian on Monday nights.
Speaking of that, Matt's going to have to come on sometime and talk wrestling with me.
Oh,
what?
Matt,
talk about what with you?
Wrestling.
Oh, let's go, baby! I'm in.
We had to add wrestling to our sports show because you gotta have wrestling.
I love wrestling. I've loved it since I was a kid. I try and take my kids to the shows, and now that I'm in Florida where they do it 100 times a year, I get so much shit for loving wrestling, but man, that's another thing that I'll die with. I'll die with vaping. I'll die with wrestling.
Yeah.
My uncle's 70. My uncle's 70 years old, and he's still you cannot talk to him on Monday nights. Just leave him alone. He's in front of that TV. He's watching wrestling. You can't, and he's been watching it since the 60s. So, I mean, you're going to be watching a long time if you're a big fan. So,
I will say the current storylines kind of suck.
WWE wise, yeah, they definitely suck. AEW now, that's the ticket right now.
Yeah, it's a ticket.
Quick question: since you've been in Florida, have you visited Hulk Hogan's shop yet?
He has a shop.
Does he have a vape shop?
No. He's got his own Beach Shop.
Oh, Beach Shop.
Yeah, he's got like two. He's got his own restaurant and his own
Really?
beach shop. Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's got. You can actually take pictures with his actual belts and stuff like that too, and everything.
My mind is blown at the amount of stuff that's down here. Like
I'll
from
send you a link
growing up in
sometime.
upstate New York, where there's literally nothing but snow.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. That's all there is. There's snow and there's a few cows. Yeah, down here it's like my mind is just blown. There's a whole new world open to me down here.
Nick's gonna take you. He said he'll take you there. Just come on down. How has your vaping style changed over the years?
Well, I started out obviously with a CE4, so very mouth to lung, but I had a real hard time with mouth to lung, and I found that direct to lung was way better for me until I made that coveted switch to salt nicks. And salt nicks, with my level of nicotine addiction, grabbed a hold of me and would not let me go.
Smacked you around.
It took me about 11 months and around $1,300 of buying new mouth-to-lung devices. And I mean, I went from everything from, I have some old school Provaris that I got from very shop owners with like a kabuki tank on it to get off salt nick, to, you know, just $700 custom stabwood mods with the Zenith tanks and everything on them. That's what actually got me to break my salt nick habit, was the Innikin Zenith tank. Phil and Dimitri's tank.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean,
Yeah,
I took those
I love
suckers
it.
wherever I went, and I've just recently finally got myself retrained to be able to vape direct to lung high wattage vapor, because that's where I get the most flavor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wildly all over the place. I mean, I still mouth to lung, I still pre-coil tank, mostly RDAs and RTAs.
I don't know what is available in Ireland brand wise, so
I was going to recommend Monster Labs. I think they're pretty big.
Yeah.
Keith, I was typing you this message, but I say Monster Labs because that covers a lot for them, because they have multiple subsections of their vape lines, their e-liquid lines, but they have a tobacco line that they've put out. And they have really amazing, really sweet fruit lines like the strawberry or the blueberry or the apple or the blackberry. I mean, pretty basic flavors, and then you can get a little bit more complex from there. They have their own ice line. They have a custard line. I would just go right now and look at Monster Labs. I don't know what the exact website is. I'll get it for you here in a second. But Monster Labs has a plethora of flavor lines, and you can get it in Nick Salt and you can get it in Freebase, so you're covered both ways.
Yeah, I would recommend Barista too. Barista Brew should be out there in Ireland too, and they got a great cranberry apple refresher, and it comes in a menthol as well too. But like I don't know exactly what is available in Ireland as far as, I'm sure most of the big name brands are out there, but I'm not sure exactly what you got in your shop or even how it works. Is it work the same way in Ireland where it's separated? The Nick is separated from the e-liquid?
See, that's why I wasn't sure. That's why I put it in the chat, because since you live in Ireland, I wasn't sure exactly like how it was, if it was like the EU thing or if it was like us or like Canada or whatnot. I wasn't sure how it went first before, and then we can recommend,
Yeah, that would help. All right, you already said the number. So if you change this number, how many devices does Matthew own?
Easily around 200. I mean, I'm a huge lipo guy. So like I have my Masonic themed box. I have my rubber ducky box. And there's a huge funny story that goes along with this, where I got arrested for a duck attacking a cop. Another Masonic box. And then some older but goodies. I mean, stuff you can't. I like to get stuff that you can't get anymore, even if it doesn't actually work. Just because I eventually would like to open like a museum of vaping.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
The device range, the technological differences in such a short span of time is really, really significant. I mean, you got to figure vaping's only been around commercially for about 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And from that time period, we went from modding flashlights to literally, I mean, you can buy the crazy shit nowadays.
Yeah, and thank God it's in a way it's bad for the reason why it's slowed down, but at least it's slowed down a little bit to where we can kind of catch up now, because it was like here is what I'm not going to name any names, but here's this RDA, and 2 weeks later, this is version 1.2. Then it's version 0.2.5, and I'm just like, okay, what did you do? What did you do different? Oh, it's a 3 millimeter hole instead of a 2 millimeter hole. And it's like, okay.
The day China came out with the Bluetooth speaker mod is the day that I just threw my hands in the air. I'm like, I'm done. We've reached the pinnacle. Here it is.
And people swear by that mod from Wismac. They say that speaker is unbelievable.
The speaker worked great. It didn't kill the batteries very fast. You know, another one that that didn't stick around too long, but was really cool technologically is that ultrasonic mod, where it didn't run off like heat and vaporization, but it actually used ultrasonic sound.
The sound waves
to vape it, and to me that was just like, like huge. I'm like, why aren't we funding more of this? Because if we can get away from even more of the heating and combustion aspect, what is the government going to say then?
Yeah.
We're vaping by sound waves. Fuck off.
Yeah, they'll find something. It's affecting your hearing. The signal is affecting your hearing.
It's 5G. It's giving you COVID.
Yeah. Don't hold it too close to your privates because you'll get sterile. They'll need to find something, man.
Hey, does YouTube block links?
YouTube will block links.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So I'll try to get to Keith here in a minute. I was trying to post him a link directly to the site, but anyway.
Yeah, YouTube's pretty strict about posting links, so we got to kind of. I noticed they'll let a few of them go, but it seems like if it's to a website that's vape related, I think it gets blocked automatically.
Yeah, it did. Well, so Keith, if you're listening, it's monstervapelabs.com. Monstervapelabs.com.
Yeah. And our last question for you, Matthew, what is that favorite device of yours? What is the number one device you grab? You're going out, you're out on the town, you're going to go partying, you're going to have a good old time, but you want to make sure everybody sees that mod, what are you grabbing?
I'm grabbing the 4500 LiPo. I actually called the brick.
I was going to say
the Legion logo on it, and I'm sticking a 30 to 40 millimeter tank on the top, and I'm walking down the street like Thomas the fucking Tank Engine, and everybody's going to smell my strawberry donut
for blocks. You're creating clouds. You're creating rings.
If I go out for the night, then I'm grabbing something like that because I want battery power. I don't want to mess with batteries, and I don't want to refill my tank a lot.
Yeah.
If I'm going to like a professional something or other, it's right here. I'll grab this. I call this my suit mod. Yeah. You know, it's just a nice little stab wood with a nice little mouth to lung on top. I bring this to legislative hearings, or if I'm meeting with a politician for lunch, this is what I bring. You know, it's just tiny baby clouds, 12 milligram, 10 watts. So anything LiPo, that's usually my preference.
I got a follow-up question to that, actually. Do you have a mod that's one of your favorite mods that you hardly ever use because you don't want to damage it, you don't want to break it, but it's still one of your favorites to look at?
Yes, and it was a handmade box from a gentleman in New York. On the inside of it, it was just a simple B-box mod, but on the inside of it, he engraved "Fuck the FDA," and he handed it to me. And we did a big CASA fundraiser, and Alex came down, and he presented it to me like, "Hey, you do a lot of work for the industry and everything. I just want to show my appreciation at the level I could." And he handed me the mod, and I'm like, "Oh man, that's really beautiful. It's brown and black." And he goes, "Pop the hood." So I opened it up and it just said "Fuck the FDA." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." So it sits in my box of vape stuff that doesn't ever get used, but I just don't ever want to damage it or use it. And
I have a follow-up question for Matthew.
Okay.
Because I think this is one that we should add to our QA like you do. Is if there was one thing you could give up that would save the entire vaping industry, what would it be?
I would give up my personal coveted pastime, and that is smoking meats. If you follow my Facebook, every day of the week, tonight I did beer can chicken with a nice cranberry rub, and I love nothing more than smoking meats, and that's my zen. I'm not thinking about vaping. I'm not thinking about the industry. I'm going to hole up on my porch or hole up outside, and I'm going to spend the next 12 to 18 hours smoking one gigantic piece of meat, even though there's only 6 people in my house. I got 4 daughters and a wife, and some of my kids hate meat, period. But that's my zen. So I would give that up in a heartbeat if it would save vaping.
Sam's going to elaborate on that.
Rephrase that. I'll rephrase that question. What one thing about the vaping industry would you give up if it was the one thing that could save vaping altogether? So you get to keep your smoked meats in this case.
Keep your meat. Get to keep your meat. That doesn't sound right.
And it can be any element of the vape industry in general. It doesn't have to be one, just if there was one thing that you could be like, okay, bye-bye to that, and that preserves it for everyone, what would that one thing be?
I might be crucified for this, but Salt Nick.
Salt Nicks.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty general answer. Yeah, that one comes up quite often.
Yeah, how many generations of smokers, no matter what their age, did we get off a 12 milligram e-liquid at the highest? Yeah. Maybe 18.
18.
There's no need that we're shoving 50 milligram down our gullet to get our Nick rocks off.
Right.
And none whatsoever. And that's, I don't ever want to agree with our government on what's fueling the youth epidemic. Yeah. But it's common sense science. If I'm shoving a ton of nicotine down your throat, you're probably going to get addicted to it.
Yeah.
So I would give up Salt Nick if it would save the rest of this industry, period.
Yeah. That seems to be the go-to answer with a lot of our members when we ask them that question. Go ahead. You're pointing.
As a fellow meat smoker, you can never give it up. No.
I don't want to. That's like the one thing I have in life. That's what I do.
You upset Amber. So
yes.
Yeah, don't upset Amber. She rips the tabs off of pin feed. She's dangerous.
We had a question earlier from Morgan as well.
Yeah, it was a great question. Thank you, Tom, for catching that.
What are your opinions on people who started vaping despite not previously being smokers?
So when I worked in the shop, we were outside the 3rd largest Army installation in the U.S., Fort Drum. And what did we get all the time? These amazingly bright young soldiers who came in, and my friends vape, and it looks so cool. I want to do it too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, fantastic. Are you a current smoker? Well, no. All right. So we're going to have a serious conversation now. I'll sell you a vape device. You don't need to do this, but you want to do this. I'm going to sell you a 0 milligram. Well, no. They use 50 milligram. Okay, you're not a current nicotine user. I'm not going to sell you nicotine. There's no point in starting an addiction if you have not already started one.
Yeah.
So realistically, you just have that conversation with them. People are going to do what they want to do. If a non-smoker wants to vape, they're going to vape because their friends do it, because mom and dad does it, because they think it's cool, because the government told them not to. They're going to vape. But we could, as human beings that do vape, we can at least guide them in that right path and say, if you don't currently use nicotine, don't start using nicotine.
Yeah.
Because I watched a guy literally never smoke, and now he can't vape anything less than a 12 milligram.
Right.
And it's like, come on, now he's just diehard addicted to nicotine for no reason.
Well, I remember a study like 8 years ago, it might have been 7 or 8 years ago, where they were using flavored e-liquids to help people lose weight. 0 nicotine, but they were using the flavored e-liquids to help people with their cravings late at night. So to help them, not eat that cheesecake. Instead of eating the cheesecake, vape the cheesecake. You'll trick the sensations in your mind to think you just ate a piece of cheesecake. But I never seen anything about that study. Kind of just disappeared.
Well, yeah, and there's studies that show vaping can actually reverse early onset COPD. There are medical implications to the act of vaping, and a lot of people don't separate vaping from vaping. I mean, we think of vaping as inhaling a nicotine substance, e-liquid, whatever, but vaping is just a delivery device. You can vape a lot of different things. SNL has a skit about vaping meth. It's just one of those things. You can vape anything. So if somebody can just vape a 0 milligram e-liquid, or even just vape straight PG or VG to help with their COPD, why the hell not? It's just going to help them live a better life, just like it helps us live a better life for totally different reasons.
That's right. Well, Matthew, we are going to do news and advocacy. You're welcome to stay on the show if you'd like to stay on. I know you're on a whole different time zone, and what time is it for you? But you're welcome to stay.
9:30 here.
Yeah, you're good. You're young. You're young.
He's the same time zone as Tim, so.
Yeah, he's not.
Not if it's 9:30 there. He's the same time zone as us, Brian.
No,
Yeah,
he's 2 hours. 2 hours because he's in the.
Are you guys Central
No,
time?
I'm
It's
Eastern.
here.
Matthew's Central.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm in
gotcha.
that weird part of Florida that's Central time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Isn't it
thinking
weird?
Florida. I'm like, oh, he's got to be that side. So
That's why you have to listen to what people are saying, Brian.
Oh,
Come on,
When
Ryan,
do
I
I
talk
do
to you
that?
the most. Like,
yeah, jeez.
Tom, I'm just shocked that Tom is talking trash to someone for once. Eh? Go ahead, Tom. Give it to him. Give it to him. Give him the Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
Give him the Johnny Cash.
He got cashed.
He got
Just got cashed.
Well, I'm glad you're going to stick around. We're going to jump into news and advocacy with Tim.
That's
all
right, my lovely peoples. It's time to tap those papers because it's news time. It's news and advocacy time. So as per usual, and as my headphones fall off my slick head, no, I did wash my hair before the show, so it's not greasy. Okay, it's just I apparently have a misshapen head, and my headphones don't like to stay on it. I got a few articles for you tonight. They're short and sweet. I think Matthew would actually like this first article because it kind of plays into his field of expertise. And it's one of the things that we kind of already talked about on the show. So let me share my screen for visual purposes only.
Visual aids.
Visual aids. People love visual aids. Yeah. Even if the page never scrolls, they just really love pictures, you know. Because, I mean, why else would you buy Playboy, you know? You don't read the articles.
For the
articles, of course.
The jokes.
Exactly. All right, so let's pump that sucker up. Look at that beautiful naked bottle of brain freeze, because nothing says 12-year-old like brain freeze. All right, so this article. Oh, I can't. How come? Oh, because I'm
just X out. Yeah,
I'm clicking the wrong screen, John, because I'm blonde. That was the problem.
Don't tell them your weakness.
Exactly. I was trying to click the screen to the left, and the issue was on the screen to the right.
On the right.
So never say I graduated to a 2-screen system. So this one addresses policymakers. Stop ignoring the science on vapes. Okay, and I think that this is something that we addressed pretty early on in the show when talking to Matthew, and that there is science that's periodically coming out. More importantly with the PMTA, because this is actual science that's going to reveal what is or is not in the e-liquids. However, there are other studies that have been done. I think some people here on the show might be familiar with the Cochrane 5-year study. You may have heard about the Royal College of Physicians. Their elongated study that's actually been procured over a 10-year period, you know, where they flatly claim and have proven that vaping is 95% safer than smoking. Key underlined words there. But this one basically was a study that was authored by some researchers at Kansas University, California State, and San Marcos University. They revealed that that when smokers switch to non-combustible alternatives like e-cigarettes, they are more likely to quit and experience better health outcomes. Now, if you're familiar with Professor Stanton Glantz, he loves to say how e-cigarettes are not a proven method for smoking cessation. Well, he's got actual legitimate colleges coming out, universities, stating otherwise. The new study found that smokers who used e-cigarettes had a significantly lower number of cancer-causing carcinogens present in their lungs versus smokers. Duh. We need like a duh.
I get one.
Yeah, get a duh one. I think this is common knowledge. I think it's something that all of us collectively here know and understand. However, for some other funded reason, a lot of the anti-vaping organizations love to make smoking seem probably safer than vaping in a lot of cases. They also found that 25% of smokers assigned to use vapor products were able to quit the use of combustible tobacco products completely after 6 weeks. These are legitimate studies. Within the link, I believe there is an actual link out to not only this particular study, which was peer-reviewed, as well as a link to the Cochrane 5-year study. So if you like to read about vaping studies that were done, two great ways to also get information for your arguments with people who want to challenge you about vaping. The Cochrane study from 2020 also backs up this finding and also found that vapor products were more successful than any other nicotine replacement therapy available. And that includes NRTs, so the gums, the patches, the lozenges, all that other yah-yah that you see in the stores and that the FDA tries to push on you. That also includes behavioral help. You can apparently go see a shrink for your smoking problems. Now, I also know that there are other drugs used to try to help with smoking cessation. Wellbutrin is a very commonly used one. Most of the time, you'll see that as a psychotherapeutic kind of drug for people that are having issues, with balancing their mood. Actually, Wellbutrin is pretty much used for energy enhancing, right? So people that are typically depressed or experiencing anxiety, things like that, they don't have a lot of energy, so they give them Wellbutrin to kind of boost their energy levels. But unbeknownst to me, and I found out during that process of someone in my life taking Wellbutrin, it caused them to actually quit smoking. It made it taste really bad, and they didn't like the taste, and it just turned them off to smoking really quick. Then, come to find out later, it was used as a smoking cessation drug, kind of a last-ditch effort kind of thing. The 6-month abstinence rate from cigarettes for people using vape products was 10%. Versus 6% of those who used NRTs and 4% using behavioral support. So again, vapor products clearly overtook all the other therapies available for quitting smoking. So there's, more and more studies are being built up. Public Health UK still confirms that vaping is 95% safer than smoking. This was a recent sort of republishing of that Royal College of Physicians publication that came out. And studies have also shown that switching to e-cigarettes could actually extend life expectancy. And I think that that's a key cog in this wheel. And what you hear a lot of people talk about is that they want to be around for their kids. They want to be around to be there for their parents as they get older, just be in everybody's life longer in general. So I know could is in that sentence. But more stuff will come out over time. So my takeaway on that article was that increasing studies and reports are coming out to support vaping as a safer alternative to smoking, yet these studies, for the most part, go unrecognized by the greater medical community, especially government-funded ones. Coincidence? Question mark, question mark.
Question mark.
Question mark, question mark. So yeah, so there's that one. So if you want to read up on that one, I think right at the top of the article, see that big red letter right there that says study? You can click on that. It'll take you out to the study that Kansas University and California State and San Marcos did regarding this. If you go down a little bit further, it says study again. And that one actually links out to the Cochrane 5-year study. The nice part about the Cochrane, the Cochrane organization is that they do not engage in companies that have a particular agenda. Like they don't interact with conflicts of interest, and they don't accept money from organizations that are looking for specific results. They're completely kind of autonomous on their own generating these results, and they're one of the leading organizations with regard to medical information that's put out for the general public. All right, so there's that one.
I posted the links to that article as well on both the Facebook and the YouTube side. So it actually went through. So if you guys want to find that article, you can find the link in the chat.
Yeah. Hey, Zachary, we're going to send you a camel to remind you that it's Hump Day, brother. Yeah, because we can't have you forgetting that it's Wednesday, dude. Yeah, we need to get you in here with the rest of the crowd. All right, so let's move on to this one. All right, so everyone's more than well aware that USPS basically is shut down from carrying vape mail. I'm sure there's a little window of opportunity for right now, but eventually we won't have any of that once they fully publish their rules. Although, as Matthew stated, they received about 16,000 comments on their open public commentary period, which doesn't really say that they're going to change anything, but they are going to take those 16,000 comments, sit down and read through them all to see if it offers any beneficial information and helping them to quantify their rules and regulations, which, you know, I don't think they have any control over that. But we're also aware that FedEx is pretty much off the table. We're also aware that UPS is off the table. And then DHL came out kind of late in that whole thing and said that as of March 26th, they were going to shut down carrying any vape mail within the United States domestically as well as internationally. So anybody trying to import or export anything into and out of the United States vape related, they weren't going to touch it with the 10-foot pole. But it seems as though recently a number of British vapers announced that they were experiencing problems shipping products into and out of the UK with a, in double quotes, well-known company, better known as DHL.
DHL.
Yep. So John Dunn, the Director General of the UK Vaping Industry Association, said that they're global. They are a global supply chain, and they've been affected due to vaping businesses being turned away from major carriers. So even the UK is starting to experience some of this fallout. Now, I've ordered from 101 UK 101 Vape. I've gotten a couple things from over there. So, I mean, they do have a global chain. Plus, they also can feed into the European bracket. You know, they're up there in that little quadrant. Of course, they Brexited. Did they Brexit already? Have they Brexited? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure on that. The UK, we have a UK contingent here, I think, from time
A lot, yeah.
Exactly. So many vapors have been complaining that packages were opened, returned, or refused to be accepted by DHL. Now, I wanted to read the policy that was down here. There was a little segment on it. So they state, DHL says, why you can't send with DHL. Please note that the prohibited items listed below apply to parcels being sent from and within the United Kingdom. For international carriage, there may be additional prohibited items specified by the country of destination, i.e. the U.S. The following items will not be accepted for carriage by DHL. Shipment of any prohibited items that shall be considered a material breach of our terms and conditions of carriage, and DHL shall hold no liability for any prohibited items which are subsequently damaged or lost whilst in our control. You shall remain fully liable to DHL for any losses caused to DHL as a consequence of your shipping of a prohibited item in accordance with our terms and conditions of carriage. So they kind of lumped nicotine and vape products under that one clause there. Electronic cigarettes and pipes, e-hookahs, e-cigars, and vape pens, including any device that through an aerosolized solution delivers nicotine, flavor, or any other inhalable substance. So I don't really know why the lines are getting twisted and crossed, because they basically are coming out and the UK vaping industry is basically saying, well, that doesn't line up with our current vaping policy. There's no ban here in the United Kingdom. There's no limitations to what we can or cannot ship. So they're wondering why DHL is kind of throwing this stance around when most of this stuff's probably shipping within the European Union. DHL declined to give an official statement as to what was going on, but someone who remained on a condition of anonymity, there's always that source. The DHL's recent ban on vape-related products applies to those trying to ship on an ad hoc basis, but existing business account holders will remain unaffected. So it would seem to me that there are people trying to use DHL, maybe small shops, people who don't have DHL business accounts to do any shipping, and they're just using DHL as a shipper, and they're scrutinizing more and more what's actually in those packages. So I don't know if they're just refusing to pick them up. It seems like it's a catch-all. Like they're either opening them, they're refusing them, they won't pick them up, whatever. But apparently, of course, according to them, that those are the only shipments that they're targeting, and not customers who have full-on business accounts.
Yeah.
So there's that. So obviously the UK is being affected by some of this, but basically bans on carrying vape mail in the UK is out of step with the UK's forward thinking on tobacco harm reduction. So I just said my takeaway was it sounds like it's selective and not broad-based, so more follow-up will confirm if this is true or not. So I don't know that this is a direct correlation of any legislation or issues here in the U.S. All right, so there's that. So you UK vapors, be on the lookout. DHL might not bring you your stuff. And last but not least, our advocacy article of the week. This is an early on entry into the vaping advocacy ring of death. We already know that New York deals with its own struggles, but it seems as though many counties and areas of New York like to keep lumping on. I'm not actually shocked or surprised by this, but there is a contingent of health advocates who are trying to they've submitted a letter to the Albany County Legislature encouraging them to prohibit smoking and vaping in indoor common areas of apartments and other multi-unit housing. We've heard this before, where they like to throw out the blanket claim that it creates a unsafe air system for dwellings that are very close together. And this includes not only apartments, condos, but it includes like trailer parks, places where there's lots of dwellings that are very close together. So the director of St. Peter's Health Partners agrees with the legislation in that he sees firsthand the impact smoking, and then he threw in vaping here. I would like to see his actual information, where he gets this from. But he says that he sees firsthand the impact that smoking and vaping have on an individual's health. All right, so I'm not really sure where he's getting his information from or his data from, but he's claiming that secondhand smoke isn't healthy for anyone, and for those who suffer asthma, it can even be deadly. I don't think that that's any shocker right there. We're well aware that secondhand smoke is responsible for, I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhoods of about 40,000 to 70,000 deaths per year. So yeah, you don't want to smoke around your animals or your kids or people who have COPD or asthma or anything like that. But unfortunately, vaping gets kind of thrown into this catch-all as well. They make similar claims that smoke travels from one unit to another, effectively making multi-unit housing establishments smoking units. So even if you don't smoke in your apartment, just because people smoke in their apartments or common areas, it's somehow traveling through the air systems and getting into other apartments. Albany County Legislature is considering the legislation, but no particular bill is on the table at this current time. I would probably be inclined to say I highly doubt that you'll be able to challenge this in any way, shape, or form. I don't even know if your argument would hold any weight. Like, yeah, like ban the smokers, but leave us vapors alone. I don't know that you're probably going to really have much of a soapbox to stand on. But you're inclined to fight that good fight when it comes up. There's nothing really on the radar right now. Again, there's no bill. There's nothing that anyone can really act on. My takeaway was, I said, while not surprising or unreasonable, I still don't agree that vaping should be outlawed in these common areas. There's no proof that secondhand vapor is a health risk to anyone. I think, in fact, there have been studies done on air quality in vape shops. And everyone's been to a vape shop at least once in their life. You walk in and you instantly think you're an accountant from like 1963. You might as well put your little green brimmed hat on. You're just kind of cutting the fog as you get through to the counter. But anyway, that's your advocacy one. There weren't really any other impactful advocacy ones that were on the table, since we're pretty much aware of the big ones that are out there right now. But kids, that was your news and advocacy for this Wednesday night live show, and I'm out.
Damn.
I'm not really out. I'm still here. I was trying to make it dramatic and cool.
I was waiting for you to like poof and disappear.
I should have just like blown like a big like vape cloud and then like slid out of my chair really fast. And then as the cloud kind of dissipated, it'd be like, dang, he's good.
What is that guy? What is his name? Angel? What's that big
Chris Angel.
You get the Chris Angel
I
movement.
can pull a Chris Angel.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Tim's just floating in his fucking chair.
Exactly. Yeah, like levitating above my vape desk.
Matthew, is there anything you want to touch on with some of the topics that Tim was his articles on advocacy that you want to touch on?
That last one, actually. I mean, Albany and Rochester in New York have both been trying to do that for years. And the biggest way they try and shove it through is Albany and Rochester are very densely populated with very low income people. So they push the HUD thing. I don't know if HUD's worldwide. I assume it is. Or United States wide.
Yeah.
But they're, those people who are just trying to live and trying to make ends meet have some of the worst regulations put on them in terms of getting any form of help for rent, payment assistance or anything. Yes, we know that lower income people typically smoke more or vape more. Like, stop fucking doing that. But yeah, they've tried, they've failed. New York tries to do a lot of bad vaping stuff and they fail a lot. Like, they just suck at their day jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to shove the flavor ban in with a bill at like 2 a.m. and attach it to something about abortion, like, just to get it to pass.
Yeah. Yeah, they're too busy right now trying to figure out if he's going to quit and walk away or he's going to stick it out. He ain't going nowhere.
They're going to have to shoot that man and drag him out of office. But it was funny because I said, I looked at my wife, I go, we leave New York, and less than 2 weeks later, Cuomo's facing impeachment, and less than 30 days later, marijuana's now legalized. All it took was me leaving the state for things to get progressive out there.
You should have left sooner. Damn
right.
It. Who knows what would have happened?
Right. It's silly.
There probably wouldn't have been a Cuomo if you would have left way earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Maybe if my family would have never moved me to New York from California, I wouldn't have. No, there would have never been a Cuomo. There would have been a Mario Cuomo. Nothing. The whole lineage would have just died.
It would have died.
But if you moved from California there, then California would have had the Cuomo then.
We got
California
a Cuomo.
has a worse than
we
a
have
Cuomo.
We have a worse than the Cuomo you have. Ours is just as tied into family money as Cuomo is, and if not worse, actually worse. He's related to what's her name, so you don't get any bigger than that. What's
Pelosi,
Feinstein?
right?
Pelosi, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't get any closer ties to. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm not gonna, I will pause. I will hold back my thoughts. Brian, did you get my message? Are you going to review something tonight, or
I can't? Well, we only got 10 minutes left, so I can if you want to. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's up to you, man. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little longer than 10 minutes with this guy.
All right,
I've been actually playing with the little Aspire little mod here. It's like it's got the
Isn't
magnetic
that the
top
thing
on
that
it.
Tom wanted?
Yeah. It's USB-C on it. It's kind of neat, actually.
I thought he said, I want one, but unusually, but he didn't know why. He wasn't sure why he needed it.
He wasn't sure. He just knew he wanted it.
I know what he really
I always, I'm like Matthew. Like, I like to collect all sorts of
you do.
So, like, I like trying all sorts of different ones. Like, I was showing last week, I still had my IPv3, IPv.
Does your finger sensor work?
Yes.
I have never seen one that actually worked.
Yeah. There's actually a setting in here. I was playing with it the other day. There's a setting in here where you can turn it on or off, and yes, it actually does work.
That's amazing.
What a few.
Yeah, and I still have my Sigelli back here.
Is that the 100 watt or the 50 watt?
The 100 watt.
That was the second iteration of it.
There's like no scratches on the bottom.
Yeah,
I would give my left nut to get a 150.
I offered him money for it. He won't sell it.
I have a 150 sitting back there.
Yeah,
the first one.
The first one. Yeah, I gave it away.
It still works.
Yeah,
with the mod condom and all.
Yeah, that thing was a beast too, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was simple. It worked.
When I go back to using old stuff now, like I'll bring them out and use them every so often, different stuff, and see like how the board is and stuff. But the only thing that like to me is bothersome now is they don't have like the USB charge port sometimes.
Right.
And like if I want to plug it in just for a little bit, like and like you don't notice that you didn't like it. And I'm one to preach that hardly ever use it unless emergencies and all that stuff. And every so often, like I'll use mine if I'm just sitting by the PC here instead of taking my battery out, just let it charge a little bit. But you don't realize how much you actually use it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think those older devices is why most of us old timers that have been vaping a long time actually use battery chargers. and know why we're using battery chargers because we didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just bought 2 new chargers, and it was so hard to find.
Yeah, that's another. That's another one. Yeah.
Oh man! Oh, you got the silver one.
Yeah, I think we did a show where everybody pulled out like all their old shit.
Old stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a few posts on another group this week where vape shops were like yanking out from the counters like all the old Anakin stuff, like the VTR and the M134 and the SVD and all that stuff, and they were like selling them at like $15 a pop. I'm like, man, they're giving up some collectors on them. Hey, where was it? Cody, you said, what do you guys recommend vaping at a coil from 40? If you're between 40 and 80 watts, you're definitely on a freebase, unless you're doing like a real low milligram salt nick, like a 3 or a 6. Yeah. But 40 to 80 watts is more in the DTL mode, so you're doing direct to lung kind of stuff. I would just go with the freebase Eliquid, like a 3
you guys must be getting comments quicker than me. That just came up.
I don't know. I mean,
it's weird.
We were starting to lose it, so I wanted to address it before it kind of got off the screen.
No, but I'm saying you guys are seeing comments before I do, and I'm actually hosting the show. But for some reason, you guys are seeing it before I do because like a couple of last questions, they weren't even on my board yet, and then you guys were talking about. I'm like, how the hell? Where did you guys see that at?
You're on the obligatory 60-second delay.
I have
host
thing. That's weird.
Well, the question with Cody too, when he says 40, 80 watts, my first question is it a mesh coil or a regular coil? Because that right there is going to change your ohms. Because I mean, a regular coil 40 to 80 watts is going to be your 0.3 ohm ish coil. Because back in the day, like I had a set thing where it was 0.3 was 70 watts, 0.5 was 30 watts. Like there was actually a standard back in the day where your wattage was. So, but now is like with the mesh stuff, it's a 0.4 is 40 watts. Yeah. So I mean, there's going to be a difference there. So my question would be, what kind of coil are you using? But so.
Now that he mentioned the rubber skin that went around the Sigelli, I'm starting to wonder where that went and why companies stopped doing that. I thought that was a great thing to do for mods.
Unless your tank leaked and then it was just a juice-filled sleeve.
Yeah, I know, but it still protected the mod. And some of these mods that came out after that mod really needed a skin badly. I won't name the name of the company, but they could have really used a bumper, some sort of bumper.
You mean smoke mods?
Yeah, smoke was one of them. You dropped it, the fucking door went flying 60 feet away, and if you would have just had that rubber skin.
Oh God.
Oh, wow.
Brian's got a bucket of rubbers.
Brian, got a bucket of rubbers away.
Wismec had it with the 300, with the Wismec, the RX 300, that little skin that came. That was a great skin. Yeah,
the triangle
that
one.
Protected that mod so much, man.
This is the one that actually went on top and slid down. There's no bottom to it.
Yeah,
so like the hole was where your tank was.
We progressed from mods that could be used to break windows open with to mods where the doors won't stay shut if you put them down nicely on a fucking desk. Yeah, thank you. You didn't have to put that one up there. I can't use it. I love that mod. I love Brian. It's a great mod, but as soon as I set it down nicely on the desk, the door pops open.
Yeah.
And I'm done. I put both of them back in the boxes. I'm like, fuck you. I'm done. I can't do this.
Hey Cody, look at the coils themselves that you have in the pack or whatever. Normally they'll give you a recommended wattage to use your coils in.
Yeah.
So like somewhere in like font 2, it'll say like recommended best use wattage is between X and Y.
Yeah, you could use your cell phone too if you can't see the writing on there. You take a picture with your cell phone and just zoom in. You'll see it. And a lot of companies, which are great, they're starting to under-regulate those, so which is smart. Enough of this lying, and you can get 120 watts out of this coil. Yeah, for like 2 hits.
Yeah. Well, also to me too, it's a coil has a recommended wattage on it, and that's like their baseline to where like it should be performing at. I always recommend don't ever go above that. But if you want to go below that and that's where your taste level is, go for it. Like if that's the way you like it. If you have a coil, half like it's supposed to be at 40 watts and you put it at like 25 watts, you turn on the airflow a little bit, and that's why you like it, use it that way. Like, that's okay. But every coil, the max wattage on it, it's like driving your car like at max speed at all times. You're going to wear out that coil super fast.
Yep.
You're going to always be replacing your coils all the time, and you have a higher chance of getting a dry hit out of it too.
Yeah. Stay at the recommended wattage.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. And I think too, a lot of people stop priming their coils and working their way to that temperature.
Mm-hmm.
That's such an important thing, guy. If you want a coil to last, that's what you should be doing. Go ahead. I every time I see someone click, I think they're going to talk, so I shut up.
I'm so used to every time I vape, I mute myself so it doesn't sound like a Hoover in the microphone.
Yeah.
Like every time I vape.
Yeah, but I wish people would start doing that. Remember to go back to that. Don't just put the coil in there, juice it up, and then go right at 80 watts. Prime it. Get it worked up there. Start at 50, 60, 70, and work it to that. And you'll notice that coil is going to last you a lot longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you think every review video on the planet says let that coil saturate for about 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah. Oh, the saturation part's important, but just working that coil up to that temperature. Don't start that coil. If it says 80 watts, don't start that coil at 80 watts. Work your way to 80 watts.
Definitely climb into that max wattage for that.
Yeah, and
coil.
that's what I told Cody earlier when he was talking about his coil and stuff. I said, when you prime it, most people nowadays, they just say, I let it sit for 10 minutes and put it at 70 watts, and I'm just, it's crappy. I'm like, well, first, like, you can let it sit for 10 minutes and that's absolutely fine. But the thing is, though, like, you have to slowly climb your way up, because when you do that, what happens, like the wire on the coil there, it actually does draw the juice in. So like when you use it, what happens is that when you take your slower vapes to the lower wattage, it's helping that juice work its way in, because that heat actually draws the juice in. So then when you get up to the wattage where you want it, it's actually going to constantly flow the way it should with the air pressure in there.
Good question, Morgan.
I didn't see it.
It's right.
It just came in.
There you go. That's always a great question, because everyone has experienced it at least once in their vaping lifetime.
Never.
I haven't.
You lucky son of a bitch.
No, fuck yeah, I have.
I actually haven't, but I mean, I change around to different liquids all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you constantly vape a certain liquid constantly, like forever, you will get it.
Yeah.
It's not saying you won't get it. It's a matter of time until you will get it.
Yeah.
But if you switch your juices around, different flavors around, like you do a bakery for a while, do a fruit for a while, and then like if you do like a malt tongue mint for a while, and then flip it around, you're not going to get that vapor's tongue as quickly, or you might never get it.
Yeah. What I find works for me a little bit, because I'm technically a majority fruit based vapor.
We know you're a fruit.
Yeah, I'm a fruit. I'm a Fruit Loop, that's for sure. But what I'll do, like for example, like the and then this one I have like I don't even know what it's that drop or whatever it's called from. Ironically, it's called Cody. We got a Cody in there. This is a Cody. This is a great blueberry ice in this the Swag PX80. God, I can't remember. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know my vaporizers anymore. But what I do is I just have like it's called Ice Baby, and it's just like a menthol wintergreen kind of vape, and that tends to kind of like freshen up the palate a little bit, and then you go back to the fruits and they're more pronounced.
Yeah. So here comes all the home remedies. I remember back in the days, everybody was posting their remedies for getting rid of vapor tongue. Pickles. Open up your coffee coffee container and smell coffee for like 3-4 minutes. That'll take it away. What were some of the other ones?
Drink lots of water.
Fucking rinse your mouth out. Rinse your mouth out with mouthwash. Go brush your tongue.
Yeah, I remember some of the vape shows, like a majority of the booths, they actually had a bag of like coffee beans at every single one. You had to sniff the coffee beans before you could try their juice. Like they would actually make sure you do it. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're about done. Matthew, any goodbyes? Anything you want to throw out there that's going on in your life you want everybody to know about?
No, not really. I just really appreciate being on the show. I haven't done a web show in probably 6 to 8 months, and this has been an absolute fucking blast.
All right, we're glad. Hopefully we can get. He's trying to find a place to put that sign. Still,
I have like 4 boxes of them in the garage. If you want any more.
Yeah,
I need to find ones with other writings so I can like put them on the wall back here and go straight.
yeah. See,
Every time I visit a vape shop, I just bring them and throw them at them. Oh, and then I also have about like 500 Make America Vape Again shirts.
Oh man, what sizes?
All different, from smalls to 3Xs. Like,
we'll talk.
Well, you've got
I'll
my
buy some
address.
of
You
them.
can just send them
I'll
up
buy
here.
some. Yeah, I'll buy some of those shirts from you. We'll talk at
I'll
the
take
end.
a 3X.
Yeah,
that's what I wear too.
yeah. All right, guys. Anything you guys want to throw out there? Brian, this is your chance. I know you don't talk a lot. This is your chance. Get it out there.
I just want to, give a shout out to Zachary for being late.
Thanks, Zach.
I don't think that was
Thanks,
cool of Zach to do, really. But I mean, we appreciate Zach for tuning in. That's awesome. Thanks, Matt, for coming in. We're gonna have to have you on other shows and have some fun later and stuff. You're always welcome back. I'll tell you that much.
Heck yeah, you are.
Need to put some of those posters up behind you and stuff. But I know you just.
I'm in the middle of painting. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
My walls are so boring right now.
But yeah, just thanks everyone tuning in. It was a good show.
Yeah. Tommy Boy, Mr. Wisconsin, what do you got to say for you? You look like you're ready to pass the fuck out.
I could use a nap. Trust me. It's
the meds are kicking in.
I want to thank Matthew for joining the show. I just sent you a friend request on Facebook as a fellow weed smoker.
Deny it.
Zachary, you were late. Do better next week. Brian, clean your desk.
Poor Zach.
Clean your desk, Zach.
No, Brian cleans his desk.
Oh, Brian needs to clean his desk.
Thanks everybody for dropping by and chat, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, Timmy.
Real quick to Michael Pepper Tech. We're getting a lot of those emails about the PACT Act. Yeah, so I mean, you're probably getting it in response to a vape company shutting down, or some vape companies somehow securing a way to ship things. And yes, you will be required to be on standby to sign for those shipments. So they're recommending that if you can, and you can't be home, that you have it sent to your place of business and stuff like that. So you just have to look around. It's not all the major companies that are doing it, but quite a few have been stating that they're able to ship still at some point. Anyway, off of that topic. Again, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you here, man. I love the discourse and the conversation. You're a great advocate to have here on the show, on the panel, so please, you're welcome back anytime. Thanks again to the wonderful, I wanted to say Peanut Gallery, but they're like our friends now.
Don't age yourself. Don't age yourself.
No, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Like Howdy Doody. I actually watched that on TV. But thanks to everybody who joins in on the chat every week, all the regulars that come back every week. We love having you here. It's a community show, and we love having you guys here for the conversation, and it's really great to be able to respond to the questions you guys have in your commentary. It would help as much as we can. So with that said, we're back here again next Wednesday, boys.
Yes, we will.
I'm going to put the biscuit in the basket, as they say in hockey talk.
Went hockey on us. Tim went hockey on us. All right. Thank you again, Matthew. It was great. I'm glad the other Matthew recommended you. That was awesome. Matthew, Ellie, you did good. You did good. We're glad to have you on. Thank you, everybody out there in chat. If you guys have any questions concerning anything on the show, you can always email us at wednesdaynightLiveshow@gmail.com, and we'll answer your questions. We answer them really quickly, guys. So, again, we'll see everybody next Wednesday, same time, same channel. But we're going to talk about something. We are moving for those that have watched us on the ZampleBox company page, we have created our own Facebook group page, and I had the link right here. If you want to join our Facebook group page, we'll be able to stream there until we get everything sorted out with the ZampleBox community page, because right now ZampleBox wants to focus and help their members answer questions. So they're going to keep their page clean of everything so they can focus on their customers. So we created a Facebook group page, and you can find us there. You can watch the show there as well. So I'm going to post the link right here, and boom. And it's called Wednesday Night Live Show TV, right? Is it Wednesday Night Live Show TV?
No
10?
show, just Wednesday Night Live TV.
Wednesday Night Live TV. The link is there. You'll find us there. We'll be promoting it during the week so we can kind of move those people that were watching the show from the company page over to the other group page. And that is it. We'll see everybody next Wednesday. Matthew, again, thank you. Awesome show. It just flew by, brother. That's when I know we have a great. Yeah, that's when we know we've had a great show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, we'll see everybody next week.